Hello,
Hello, friends. It's me, Cynthia,
and Azalea.
and we are GreenGirlStudios, and this is our Wednesday edition Magic Hour. Today, I'm going to go and show you some waxwork, maybe some things that we've been doing this week. What else are we going to go over? We're going to talk about Tucson. That's going to be fun. It's always fun to talk about Tucson. And what else are we doing? That's kind of a lot already.
You were
But-
talking about you doing your paper dolls, your downloads for that.
That's true. All week I've been cutting out paper dolls like it's my life's work. I mean, I did spend most of my life cutting out paper dolls, and by most of my life, I mean many hours. I'd say most.
Many hours.
Many hours. Hello, my friends. Hello, Katney. Hello, Melanie. Hello. She says, "Hey there, gorgeous ladies. Thank you. Thank you so much." Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Liz. It's nice to see you there, Liz. We've been in Tucson Prep. Now, I've seen some messages come in saying, "Hey, what show are you going to be at?" Well, we're going to be at all the shows. Not all of them. We're going to go to the big ones. We're not going to go to all the shows. But we're going to tour a lot of them, and we're going to bring our camera. I got a new gimbal. It's going to be good. So, our plan, we're going to do a walk around. No booth.
Yeah, that's what people were asking is where are you set up? We're not set up anywhere. We're going to be set up at our Airbnb.
Yeah. Well, so the last time I set up was 2021. All right, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was only okay.
It was
a lot of work.
People were not ready for it. It was still COVID.
It was really hot. The one thing that I will say is that, and the one drawback for us is that it's long. So there are not that many shows that are just like a few days long. They're like a week long at the minimum. And when you have a long show, that means you're out of town. You got to pay for a hotel. You've got to pay for your gas or your electric vehicle, whatever it is you're renting. Hopefully we don't get an electric vehicle again. That was not good. Even though you'd think Tucson's perfect, the problem is the recharging stations they pull the wires out for some reason. I don't know why they do this. So it's a nuisance. We had to drive like 30 minutes to get to the next recharge station. I was like, this is too much anxiety for me.
And it was the price of gas.
It was the same price as gas.
We also had to wait. We had to sit around in the car.
I was like, there is no.
And then wait an hour.
Yeah, there was no plus side to it. Although not using gas is, I guess, is a good thing. But anyway, we have a lot of plans while we're there to go to see our friends. We want to go over and say hi to our friends over at the casino. I know Gail's supposed to be there. I think Pat Healy, love Pat. She has a booth set up. We used to do that show. It was a good show for us for a long time. But, doing this way is so much nicer. I don't even have to tell you. Or maybe I do have to tell you. We don't have to lug. Used to. When we were doing a show, it was a big production getting stuff out. So I don't know. Many of you I know set up for retail, like art fairs and craft fairs. But setting up for Tucson, you have to bring enough stock to sell enough to cover your booth fee, which our booth fee at the Pueblo, I guess I'm not supposed to tell us how much it is, but it was $5,000 for our space, which is not a huge space. It was like a 10 by 10 or 10 by 8. Wasn't even a 10 by 10. And you have to move a lot of product to cover just your booth fee. So when you look at it as far as your investment, you got to get your plane tickets. You have to get everything out there, and getting your stuff out there can be a challenge. I mean, I know getting stuff back home is a big challenge because you don't want to haul a bunch of stuff, right? You don't, and have it get, lost. Like our friend Jen from Cherry Tree last year, they shopped and they lost her merchandise. That was lost for like a week, and that's stressful. It's very stressful to have thousands of dollars in a crate go missing.
Yeah, that's
horrible. So We have been lucky in that when you drive, the best thing about that is all your stuff's in the back and you can see it and you don't have to worry, hey, where's my stuff? Oh, you have it. So you don't have to sit there and keep checking the location on tracking to make sure it's on route. So anyway, before I sit here and talk for an hour about the ins and outs of shipping from Tucson, let me just say hello to my friends that I see popping in here. Hello, Robin. Hello, Jeanette. Hello, Tina. Hello, Linda. Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us. We are streaming live from Asheville, North Carolina. It was a beautiful day today. I went on a walk to a place that I haven't been since Helene, because it was really, really messed up. So any place near a creek, the sides were just like scoured with a giant brush, and all the side, like, imagine it was like 10 times the water got dumped on Asheville in a matter of 3 hours. So any place that was near water, you can just bet was messed up. And so my favorite walks were the ones next to a creek. I love being next to a creek. You know how I feel about salamanders and tadpoles. So I've kind of avoided this walk because I went before and it was really hard to jump over. I was like, this is like parkour, and my knees are not what they, if I'd stop falling off my bike, I wouldn't have such problems with my knees. But it was hard leaping over all that bramble and stuff. But they'd cleared it out. And I'm talking about the Big Barrier Path over in a Riceville area of Asheville. It's very beautiful. It's near Warren Wilson College. And it's really lovely. Very lovely. It's very beautiful to see. Even amidst all the devastation and torn up trees, it's still, there's still, you could see you won't even see this after a while. It'll be overgrown and lush once again. Probably not even in a year, I'm hoping. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to flip this camera around and let's get started, and I'll show you what I have been up to. All right. Here is my stuff. I showed this whenever that was. We worked on this. I still haven't come up with the phrase. My favorite so far is the mountains are calling, but I don't know. I'll have to look at it. But you know what? When I stop doing that thing where I am hemming and hawing, you ever do that where you don't know, you're kind of, I don't know what the right word.
It's a real southern phrase.
What?
Hemming and hawing?
Well, that's what my grandma said. It's like you're not making up your mind. You're just between decisions. I'm not going to tell you what the other one she'd say because it would not be Facebook friendly or YouTube friendly.
You get banned.
Mm-hmm. But it was to the effect of blank or get off the pot. That was the other one. That was a popular Arlene Thornton joke. Not joke, but if you were having a hard time making up your mind, that's what she'd say. You know what? I got all this stuff prepared and I forgot to grab my optimizers. Tangled up in all my electric blankets because it's cold up here. Unless I'm doing a live and then it gets warm because of all the lights. Oh, hello, Cherie. Hello. Hello, Kitty. Hello, Karen. See several of our friends. Hello, Anne. Can't wait to see you, Anne. Coming in soon. Hanging out. I remember our good times that we had at that show. Where were we? At the Viscount. Remember that? That was fun times. People would be like, where is Cynthia? And I'd be over hanging out at pretty much anybody else's booth but mine. So this is Jeweler's Wax. I just went right into it before I even did anything to say. These are steel tools. They're files. A lot of these we've made. Greg has made these. They are rods that have been twisted and turned and hit with a hammer while it's hot to form sculpting tools. Christy Friesen makes some nice sculpting tools. Those I like for clay. They're really good for clay. You can use old dental tools and sand them. There's a lot of things you can do as far as for waxwork. The traditional way, though, is to use a wax pen, and it's like a battery-operated soldering iron, and it's just like that one that Kate sent me a long time ago. That's for cutting thread. It's like a battery-operated soldering iron, and people have been using those for a long time. And they're good because it's constantly hot and you don't have to sit here over a lamp. But I like the lamp myself because I have control over the heat. I don't have to, it doesn't stay at a constant temperature. Sometimes you don't want it that hot. It can be too much. It can be aggressively hot. And they have some now that are pedal. You can pedal on the floor like a sewing machine, and that can give you your control of your heat. And that people use that for when you're treeing up your waxes, which we talked briefly about. I'll talk to Greg again about doing a live if there's interest of showing how you make a tree. I don't know how people feel about that because it's kind of it's very technical. It's a very technical part of this process. I got an idea the other day that I would like a cat button. I was looking at one of my hand knits that I'm working on. I knit from time to time. I don't always knit. Azalea's now the knitter. She knits way more than I do.
Yeah, I have more time than you do.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy that kind of crafting. It is well documented that crafting that is kind of repetitive or that uses really beautiful materials is one of those things that relaxes the brain and also your body. Sometimes, unless you're doing something frustrating. I see a comment. Tina says, I would tell my after-school kids jump or clap. LOL, they thought it was so funny they'd forget. That's good. That's good. So this here, and you can see, I've kind of got this is a good shape for a button, I think, because it slides through the buttonhole pretty easily, but has enough on each side to hold steady. The main reason I like these, well, let me just show. I have a necklace on. Let me see, take it off. I love a button clasp. So this one has a back bail, and I like this that it has a kind of a shield quality to it. You just see this flat part, but I also love the security cord that has, this shape. It reminds me of an antler or, like an antler button. So a bit like this. And that would be the look. And then you have the other side coming out from there. I think it looks good. See, it would slide through pretty, nicely. So anyway, that's the goal for this. This piece that I'm working on. Oh, thank you, Carolyn. She says the mermaid button has an ancient coin feel to it. Thank you. I like that story. I love things with an ancient feeling of any kind. You want to see something I found in one of my boxes? Yeah. Speaking of ancient, check this out. I picked these out. So I don't know how many years ago I bought these at one of the shows along I-10 in Tucson. This is a tiny perfume bottle from ancient Rome. It was excavated in a site. I can't remember where. They told me. I'll have to look at the card. But I can give you one. I will give you one. Now, my thing with this is that I was going to turn these into finished jewelry and make a like a kind of like a cage for them. But that iridescence, that I have been trying to get that for like ever since I saw this when I went to my first bead show or my second Tucson show. It was my second one because we were at the Kino Center, and I was set up across from Bossum, who had a booth filled with antiquities and old coins, and I would love to look in his booth. He really could only sold one fancy thing and made his booth, because in there they were just really amazing antiquities. Love them. So, oh, anyway, I almost forgot that. I don't know where I was going with that. But as I was looking at this, it reminded me that I finally figured out how to get a faux finish that is very similar to this. Y'all will be happy to know. I'm working on the PDF right now, so I can have a class with full directions. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift between these three things, and that's kind of how I work. I move between several projects at once, because sometimes the piece will get hot, or I'll just get tired of looking at it and I'll want to move on. Clem says, how old do you think? Well, you know what? They have ways of dating these based on the shapes and the method that they were put together. Now, I have a glass setup. I know how these are made. They make them from a glass rod that is stuck to the bottom called the punty. And that there's like a little wodge of glass, like a bulb. And you spin another, like pretend like this is another thing of glass. You just spin that and build up the walls very slowly and attach it. You can kind of see. I had these looked at by a friend of mine that worked in old coins and old pieces. And these date, I'll have to look again at the notes, but I want to say over 2,000 years, because they stopped making a certain style of glass when they had, like, they learned more about, like, it's like a blown structure, and these are not blown. These are built like wound. You can see the method of how it was layered and layered and layered. That was before they did the actual blown glass of today. So at least a millennia, which to me is, I mean, 100 years I feel like is old, but these are very old. I love looking at them. If you could look at them under the magnification of this magnifier that I have, it's like a digital magnifier, you would be blown away with the colors in that patina. It's like magic. So what I have in this vial here, in this glass that my friend Rashawn made, Desert Highland Glass, or Flameworks, is denatured alcohol. And I'm building up this piece here. I took out, I think I had it out when I was showing last. Was that on Sunday? When I showed that?
Today's Sunday.
Oh, today's Sunday. Did I say Wednesday earlier?
I don't know.
Oh man. I feel like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off half the time, because I've been pressing it so hard to get everything finished before we leave. So this is supposed to fit like this. I have another bracelet sitting over here. Maybe it's on my desk, or it's going to fit like this. Oh, did I show this before? Maybe I did. So anyway, I have another one of these. I took it out because I was taking pictures. Oh well. So that's how that's going to fit. And I'm going to use, for my finished samples, I'm going to use leather here, because that just seems, I don't know, I don't like that feeling when it like that. It doesn't feel like a secure connection. So the method to this is that you want to finish up a master that's going to be sturdy enough in pewter. If you make it where there's like thin parts, pewter is soft. It's a very soft metal. It's why we make certain things like this. This is a fairy clasp I made a long time ago. And the caster at the time ripped one of the molds. And then I was like, well, just remold it. And they were like, okay, go send us the master. And I was like, I sent you the master. And they were like, you mean that weird dusty clay? It was polymer clay. I actually made this sample way back when in polymer clay. And they basically didn't make a master. So if you don't have the master, which is the original, then you can't make another one unless you cast these. And usually the thing with that is that you're casting from what's called a second or third generation mold. This would have been second generation because this was directly cast from the master mold. So it's still good, and you can still see their faces and everything. And it's just not I mean, if I molded this, you would not get the detail. It would look real fuzzy, right? It would be very fuzzy. And so if I made this, I would have to mold it and then rework the wax and then remold it all together. So you wouldn't want to have something like, see this little piece here? In pewter, that would be it's just too bendy, I want to say. Oh, I see a comment. Marion says, I'm just curious, how long does it take before you replace the denatured alcohol in the bottle? So this burns. Right now, this is lit up. I don't know if you can see it. I have it off to the side because the flame will heat up, and it heats the whole area that's, I'm going to move it back a little bit because I don't want it to hit the phone and explode the screen or something. It's like my nightmare. Yes, so anyway, some things have to be made in a harder metal, like sterling or bronze or shibuichi. It is not good for things like pewter, which are much softer, unless I thicken it this way. So it can be thin visually here, but then if you look from the side view, it can have a little bit of thickness, and so it's kind of, you get the best of both worlds. Let's see if I have that sample. I was thinking about it. I have so many. Sometimes I misplace them. Anyway, I thought that this would look good with a tree type shape, or I don't know, something a little more botanical. And I like that it's one piece. Sometimes having to hunt down both pieces gets to be a nuisance, and I just want to be done already. I don't know if you know that feeling when you're making a necklace, but I love it when there's like a button. Button clasp is my favorite, or a bar and a loop. There's a lot of good things about using jeweler's wax as opposed to polymer clay. So I think I'm going to go a little tighter.
Y'all are about to hear some background sound of me filling orders. So that's some ASMR to look forward to in a second. Hear the rustling of packages and tape.
Oh, yes.
Because I have to crunch.
It's okay. Tell me when.
I will do it in just a second.
Okay. So Azalea and Greg have been hard at work. They've been in the garage. It's been very cold, unfortunately. But we have heaters, so it's okay. And they've been finishing out a lot of the orders. We're going to do everything we can. God. There is a stink bug that it wants to go kamikaze style and fly into my lamp. I don't know what's up with that. Oh, hello, Robin. Hello, Marion. You know what? I see a lot of people like that class. I wonder if I should make it. Do y'all like it for silver? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what people are going to like. I just want what I want. And I haven't been using this type of clasp in a long time. I usually like a button or something that is like this. I feel like is a good, you know what it'd be good as? Like a choker type of a clasp. So that it's right there at your neck. Robin says, yes, you should make them again. Okay. So I just thickened that up. I don't know if you saw that, but I grabbed a little bit of wax, molten wax. And it's like the best way I can describe this is drawing in 3D. So here's a place I'm going to put this right in here on this top edge. And you get your wax hot and you just drag it right across. And it flows very similar to molten glass, I feel like. It's hot the same way, and it wants to retain that kind of rounded shape. So you could change the shape pretty easily. This has a pretty long neck on it, so hopefully what I can do is maybe I'll shorten that neck. I don't know that it needs to be that long. It's a very easy to use clasp for something wide. I just took that down a notch. Oh, so we're going to get our Tucson boxes ready. That is taking place probably maybe tonight or tomorrow. We'll get those loaded in. Last year, what we did was we pre-sold what we called our Tucson boxes. And the way that works is that you basically, you're not going to know what's in it. It's like a trust fall. You're going to have to trust that you like my taste.
But it's not the first trust fall. We did a trust fall last year, and I think you guys, I assume you guys were pleased with the magical things we found.
Yeah, we got nothing but compliments on that one, and I was very proud of ourselves for making something.
The one with the bees too. That was a good one. The amber bees.
That, I think people were really happy because we found a lot of good stuff. And what we try to do is, if we have strong buying power, then you get a better deal. That just, that's how it goes. If you go and a lot of places will say, oh, wholesale. So they'll have ranges of wholesale. So yes, it'll be wholesale. No, you're not going to pay tax. But obviously, if you buy a lot more of something, you're going to get a better price. And some things that I like to get, there won't be a ton of it. So, of course, I'm looking for things that are rare and unusual. I mean, if you're going and you just want to look for garnets or whatever, you'll find that very easily. But that's also really common. So you don't need to go to Tucson for that.
You just go to your things we found last year were the pumpkin cut or the melon cut rose water quartz.
Excuse me. Oh, yes.
That was a favorite of mine.
Oh, me too. I love melon cut. I'm going to take a sip. I want to grab my...
Remember that one is still hot. Cut clear quartz?
Oh.
Anything melon cut looks
I love
so
melon
good.
cut. Oh, I see. Clem says, I just recently finished up using most of the yummy things you sent me last year. I'm so glad. I love the selection. It was awesome. Kate was with us, and she liked our picks. Like when we were picking together from one of our favorite vendors that I've known for well over 20 years. It was a lot of fun to see what people like. And when I say that there are millions of beads, I'm actually under exaggerating because there's probably billions of beads to choose from. So when people say it's overwhelming, it is, but it's the kind of overwhelming that I like. Like, I like to be spoiled with choice, but then, that's not everybody. I want to see it all, show it all to me. It's like, I was telling my friend Joanne, she's coming with me this year. I was like, get ready to see your eyes are going to be filled up with so much color and so much sparkle, you're not even going to be able to believe it. It's a nice shape. It's kind of like a nice little almond. Oh, Carolyn says the bronzite stamps arrived and they are way cool. I think they're cool. I haven't had a chance to really work with them. And I love them because they look like one of the antiquities from one of my books on beads, because they're made the same way, same materials, same techniques. And they're unusual. They don't make a ton of things like that because it's not a lot of people won't know right off the bat what it is. And so just like with anything, just like any kind of craft or something that you're gonna, like any kind of, I don't know what the word is, any artisan that's gonna make a bunch of stuff, if you test it out, say you're making a new mug, you're a ceramicist, you're not gonna make 50 of them if you don't know how that mug is gonna sell, because you don't invest the time and the energy and the materials to make something, and you sell 3. So it's not worth the time expenditure. So you'll make the minimum that you can get away with. In this case, sometimes they'll make 1 hank or even just a few strands just to test the market. And if they buy them right away, they'll say, okay, so we'll put this on the list of things we need to make more of. And some things will not move, or it's a little pricey and people will not know what to do with it. And so that will be it. And I got to tell you, sometimes I kind of like it when I find things that nobody else has. It's kind of exciting. I mean, I have some weird agate beads. If you saw them, you'd be like, why did they make them? They're so weird. But they're kind of like this shape. It's like this. This is a fossilized conch shell. You can see that it has that kind of like the druzy in there. This was once this was alive once in the ocean, just minding its own business, being a little mollusk. And then over millions of years, it turned into that. Anyway, I have a strand of agates that looked like this shape, but when you flip it, it has a weird, I don't even know what they were trying to carve. It looks like lady parts. And that's what they look like. It's cool, but it's weird, and I don't know what to do with them. So I just kept them. They're in my collection. You can hear that stink bug buzzing around.
Can you guys hear me bead digging?
She's in the bead. She's been filling orders all day. I like this texture here. Oh, so I should say, if anyone sent me a message, I usually don't check messages until like Monday. Because otherwise it's kind of gives me anxiety if I can't really do anything about it with the post office being closed. So I save it for Monday. Business, I call it. Like, that's the time for my business. And the weekend is the time for like creative working. Partly because you can't really, if you can't do business work like your post office or bank and all that stuff is closed, it just makes sense. This kind of looks like a tree. I'm going to have to go in and take off some here because this will not be very easy to get into. It was already getting a little more difficult, so I'm going to take off some of that area there. You can see it's a little, like the shape is improving. Azalea Clem says, what, quoting you, you're startled. What?
What?
All right, let's give this one a break. It's getting hot. And I don't know what I want to do with it. Let's try to do some text on this. You'll see why I don't like to do text. Because it's a rigmarole. Okay. I need something like, all right, I found something. I was going to say I needed something like a ruler. Okay. So, I need a piece of paper. See, I told you it was going to be a rigmarole. Hey, Zelia, can you give me like a piece of thin paper? Like very thin. It could be a very small piece. Because I want to transfer this very thin, like, printer paper.
Oh, printer paper?
Yeah, just a small square. So what you do is you trace your design and then you lay out your text. You can do it by eyeball, but that's the way of a wavy baseline. That just, even thinking about wavy baselines, I can't deal with it. I don't know why. I just don't like it. So Robin says, do you have a favorite wax? This is a wax from Kerr's. I believe you're on the West Coast. You can get it from, they call it just, I think just, I can't think of that dude's name. Something, I think it's Kerr's brand. So what you want to do is trace it. Pen work. I'll give it a little trace. This is you can kind of feel out your surface area. All right, and then you want one down the middle. That's how, let me see. When I'm concentrating, it's hard to talk. So I want to say the mountains. And see, this looks like, so the reason I have not wanted to put mountains is kind of a longer word. I guess I could see how wide that is. I could fit it, but maybe if I did it like this. You get creative when you have a limited or smaller space. I could go this way with it and wrapped it, but I kind of hate that story. The mountains, and then kind of tuck in R. You know, it'd be worse is if I did an R. And then calling. But really what I probably will do is I'll just squish it in and make it small. So I practice it, see how it looks like. And then from the middle, you would just look at the middle and find the middle of your word so you knew which direction. And usually I'll do it in a way where I have the center line. This kind of takes up the space. If you were looking at type, it's almost like it's a wide one. It's like 1.5 times the width of another letter. So it's a little wider than, say, the I or the N. I could do it long ways. Hey, so this wax cut, you could get it at, what was I going to say? You get it at Rio. We have it sent from Rio. And, I know. But if I do it, yeah, you could do it. That's why it's hard. That's why I've been hemming and hawing on this piece. But we could try it. So you find your middle point and you look at your words, how long you want it to make, and you kind of block it out. This is how we used to do text. I would have like some better rulers. This is kind of thick and chunky and I can't see through it. I have some clear ones and I do text blocks. So the mountains are, and then there's another one for car. This is your baseline. This is your top. So it's like, you know what? I had a lettering class 20 years ago, and it's probably the most used class is lettering, because you learn about space, about spatial awareness of your piece. It's not just lettering, but the space between letters too. And so with this, you could do it where you're like, okay, and you know that you're gonna have an M and an S at the very edge. So you have to go kind of small. How small? Let's see. And then your middle line. So I didn't do that right. Be between the, probably right in here. Or actually the T would be the point, I think. See how the middle line should have made it scooted over a little bit. And you can kind of force those letters to fit. You see what I did there? So that I can figure out which is in the middle and kind of working backwards. I'm not, if you tried to do this where you're like, oh, I'll start from M, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's why you'll see, if you see typography and it looks like that, it's because they didn't start from, you're not looking at it. Nowadays, you don't have to worry about it because you have I'm going to say Photoshop to, and then see, I know I need to make that M a little smaller. So it's good to practice it out because you have to fit. I'm crowded in here, and that the is giant. So this, I know, is going to have to take some, I don't know if I'm going to use this phrase. So I'm counting the letters on this, and they're all about the same, except for that I. So this L would be here. Move that up. So that's how that goes. All right. I don't know if I love it. So I don't know. Let's look at it again. I saw several other really sweet comments. Clem had one. What was it, Clem? Sweet Bear or something like that. There were a couple of really cute ones. I'd have to look at my phone. I should have wrote them down. But when I initially did it, I wanted in my mind, it was the mountains are calling. And then the rest of it is, and I must go. And clearly, if I want, I could probably put the I must go in really small. But the smaller you make it, boy, you have to get in there with some tiny tools to dig that out. So I feel like this, I could lower it. And usually what I do, once I'm happy with it, I'll probably do it one more time. And then you take this and you would put it on this is why I asked for very thin paper, just so that I could look through it. You can look through it and then get it. I could make sure that it was straight. I'd hold it up to the light. And then once it was on there and I was happy with where the shape, if you trace it and it fits in there, then you could take your pen and push it in and transfer the letters down. And that way you would then have a light indication. And then the process of that is just gently digging until it's deep enough. And sometimes it takes this part can be the hardest part because, whereas this part people say, oh, well, you can't really tell if a tree doesn't look like, a tree can look like pretty much anything. But what can you do, about letters? If you're going to read it, it has to be legible. And it has to be something that, if it's too small or too crowded, then, I don't know. Yeah, horizontal format. We were just talking about that. The horizontal Kalite is one that could work. But I feel like I don't like it. I don't know why. But I want it to be like this. That's how I like it. But yes, It could go that way. And I may still, because you could do something real. If it's all just me going, oh, I don't want to be able to do this. I want it to be able to flip this way. So that's my struggle where I am right now. Oh, I see Helen is joining us. Hello, Helen. Hello, Wendy. And hello, Kalite. I don't know. Maybe I will do it long ways. Let's see. I just feel like this is my favorite format. I rarely go this direction. I don't know why. Why is that? Maybe I can go smaller. So the other way, if you don't want to trace it, is get it right next door to it. Set it right there. And then you transfer it the same way by scoring your letters down. You make a line through this, and then you just make those guidelines and then gently carve it in. And that way you don't have to trace it. But, and I see another one. I saw something earlier. Helen says, peaceful medicine bear eating berries from a tree. How a very lovely piece, Cynthia. It is very lovely, I think. I personally think. It's like a little love letter to Asheville, because you know what Asheville has a lot of? Well, we have a lot of trees and we have a lot of bears. This one, it looks like he has a bunch of apples down here, doesn't it? They could be leaves. I had leaves, but boy, you couldn't really tell what was happening. It was like a big jumble through there. And I was trying to put an owl. You know, I did hear on my walk today, and I tried to record it, but it didn't. As soon as I hit the phone to record, it just, it stopped hooting. I'm going to do an owl now because I heard a little owl today, and it was good. I needed to hear that little owl combo. Yeah, there's an owl. It's not ready yet. It will be good. Sometimes I'll tuck things in, and you know what? It's so small you won't even see it. I have a piece that I forgot I made. It's like a little Adam and Eve pendant, and I forgot that I did a little snake lady in the tree. And I saw it again. I was like, I carved that. I had such good vision back then. God. Now I've got like triple strength optivisors on. I'm like, man, I need a little heavier duty optivisors. There, made that little ear. I've been doing this with this bear back and forth for I don't know how many days. Where I'll go in, I'll carve off a bunch, and then I'll go right back in and add a little bit more until it looks right. Bears are really hard for me. I don't know why, but I don't know what it is. It's hard to get their shape or something. Then it doesn't look like a bear to me. I'll look at it and be like, that is like such a cartoon bear. It does not even look. Why can I not get this bear to look like a real bear? Like, listen, you guys, while you're busy tearing up my trash, maybe you could pose for a minute. I haven't seen a lot of them lately. There's a little bear family that's at the bottom of our hill where our house is on a kind of a slope. This could be pumpkins. Could be a lot of things. Oh, Clem says we've had them in our yard a lot lately. I loved hearing the one on the walk I went on. You could hear him or her hooting across the forest, and it was so deep and so loud. It sounded kind of not even real. All right, this is how I'm gonna keep it steady. I have my arms braced. Okay, so I'm gonna make the little owl face. Flatten it out and scrape it. I had the whole park or the whole trail to myself. It was awesome. I got there's no other cars. I was like, yes. No dogs to chase me. I don't have a problem with dogs. I do have a problem when they chase me. I don't like it when they chase me or jump on me. I don't like that story. Get their muddy feet on my clothes. Because Marty does not like the smell of other animals.
He freaks out.
He does not like it. So
He gives you intense, big black eyes, side eye,
looks betrayed.
and his tail gets real thick.
He's not happy with me. It is cute though, but he doesn't like it. So does that look like an owl? Not really. Need to get in there with my even smaller optivisors. So that way you can't even see it once it's cast. When I was on my walk, I heard this thrashing around and I was like, ooh, maybe I'll see a bear. And it was probably like, I don't know, 20, 30 yards up the path. And I'm walking along. This is at sundown. This is like around 5:30. It was getting kind of close, what they call magic hour for the lighting for photographers. You've probably heard this.
Golden hour too?
Oh yeah, golden. That's what I meant to say. Golden hour. I didn't mean magic hour. This is what we're doing is our magic hour. But the golden hour is when you're going to take some really good portrait shots because the light is diffused and soft and everybody looks all healthy and nice at this time of day. That's what they call golden hour. And I have a thing on my watch that tells me when. And so I was happy that I was on this walk and I was taking a bunch of videos. I heard this thrashing around and I look up and there's this dude jumps from the side of the path carrying this huge branch. It's like a bald branch. Doesn't have any other sticks on it. And he starts swinging it around over his head and shouting. And I thought, this dude's done lost his mind. But then I was like, he probably doesn't realize I'm here. So I did not continue walking. I just watched him from a distance and kind of like, I don't want to say I hid behind a tree, but I kind of hid behind a tree because, if someone's running around like slamming sticks, I mean, I have my walking stick, so it's natural to want a walking stick. But I was like, what is with this person? And then nothing happened. I just watched them from a distance, and they were frogging around like they were in a movie or something, just jumping and leaping. And I let them go. I just watched and waited, just in case there were something happening where they were having aggression. So I was going to give them plenty of space to get it out at a tree and not me. How's that? Does that look like an owl? Kalite says, instead of mountains, how about hills? Yeah, hills would fit. Oh, Kitty's got one that's good. Keep close to natures. Keep close to nature. What's Helen saying? There is a lot of huckleberry trees in the Canadian mountains where my family is from. Taking a walk, I would hear crunching and gulping. Sitting between two huckleberry trees is a cuddly, ferocious bear. Yeah, but in the Canadian, I think you have those scary bears. What are the big old brown bears that have very small eyes? I think kind of accusing a little bit. Like, what are you doing in my forest? Black bears around here kind of look kind of bewildered, I think. And they come into people's houses. There's videos you can see of Asheville bears. They're just not afraid of people because there's so many tourists. People give them food. And luckily, they're not, I don't want to say they're not dangerous in case you're like one of those people that are like, oh, bears are cute, let's pet them. You're not supposed to touch them. I don't think it's like the manatees. You can look at them and admire their cuteness, but you're not supposed to touch them. Although with a manatee, you're not in any danger. With a bear, if it's a mama bear, they could mess you up. But, seeing it went cartoony again. With only a few strokes of my tool, it became a cartoon Yogi Bear. See that? It is really hard to carve a bear. You know what's easier to carve? A dog or a cat.
What happened to that little bear illustration I did for you for reference to make it look like Marty Bear? We Bear Bears.
Yeah, I don't know. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, Kitty says John Muir. That's from the quote, "The mountains are calling." And you know what? We went to, oh, Azalea, I don't know if you remember when we went to that, what was that place called? It's over in Oakland, near Oakland. You have to take a day pass to get in there.
I don't know. Oh, you've been
Somebody's
going...
from the Bay Area that knows where those special woods. Muir Woods. The only reason that they haven't dug them out is because they have no way of logging in there, and I kind of love that story. Oh, that's not set.
I'm just looking. It's very nice. I like it a lot.
Oh, I want to see that show, Ghosts. Yes. So, yeah, Muir Woods. I love that place. It's kind of eerie with all of the ravens that fly through there. Very eerie. Oh, this is done. I know somebody said, hey, you should put eyes on this side, and then it would be an octopus fork, but then it only has it. That's only like, that would be like front view. I don't know. I can see it, but at the same time, I don't know that I'd want it to be.
Eyes would be cool.
Eyes would be cool. What do you guys think? Eyes?
Especially if you did like many eyes.
That's actually super cute. But then you don't want something to get caught with the food. You want something. The practicality in me says make it so that it's easy to clean.
Yeah,
So
you could
easy.
always just make the eyes kind of shallow. You don't have to make them deep.
Melanie says yes, eyes. All right. You guys think eyes for reals? Real little eyes? Azalea says multiple eyes. What's your thoughts on this spoon fork? Many eyes or not that many? Or no eyes? That was my inclination, is no eyes. But it would be cute. Azalea says many. What'd you do? Up here? Is that what you think?
Yeah, I would just put eyes all over the back of that spoon. Because I think it would look cool.
It would. All right. So I've
Just
seen
minimal detail, so it's easy to
There's
clean.
3 people saying eyes. They say yes on that.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 so far. I mean, and then Colite says octo eyes, yes. So that's 4 people that says yes on that. I would like to make these in bronze or something like that, or 3D printed. Max has been practicing with 3D printing, so that should be kind of interesting. Clem says like round eyes. I don't know. What do you think? Round eyes? Or Liz says octopus eyes. So they have an octopus eye is like this. Where did I put that painting? I just did it.
I don't know.
See that painting? What happened to it?
You probably left it downstairs or something.
No, I didn't. Here it is. It was behind my other thing. Hopefully I don't set fire to this. I'm going to blow this out. Just so I don't set my painting on fire.
It's still on. It's still on.
I didn't get it? Oh, I burnt the edge of my painting. Shoot. Oh, well. So these are not traditional octopus eyes. They usually have a black, like kind of a horizontal, almost like a goat. You ever see a goat eye? How it has that kind of horizontal. Anne says, keep it smooth and make hair comb like an octopus. That's a good idea. Diane says, looks like a monster from Monsters, Inc. Lots of eyes. Yeah, that's still cute. That is so cute. Wendy says, I'd still buy it without eyes. Oh, good. So that's the shape. This, you know what? This did not make it. The show happened last night, I believe. There was a benefit to let people know that they were trying to build a farm somewhere in California where they were going to raise and farm octopuses. And that was the benefit, is to raise awareness. Because, you know, they're pretty smart. They have brains in each one of their tentacles. And, you know, they can, like, each leg can operate individually from the other ones. It's pretty amazing. Pretty magical creatures. They can change color. There's like unlimited magical things about an octopus. although they don't have a very long lifespan. Oh, Robin says, that's what I first thought it was, as a cone. Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of. But you know what? It's a good. I made it because I had many times where I would get a yogurt or something like that, or ice cream, and when I'm traveling, and I wouldn't have a spoon, I'd go or run around and look for one, and there wouldn't be one, or there wouldn't be a fork. And this is like perfect for travel. You just keep that in your bag, and then, I mean, I have something very similar that lives in my bag. It's made out of bamboo, but it's wide. It's like this wide. And a lot of times it doesn't fit at the bottom of the yogurt cup. And then the tines on it are kind of thick. And they're not good at stabbing the lettuce, is usually what I'm using it for, is a salad. But anyway, I just designed this because I thought, what would be the most practical, best way I could design this? If I were going to design it, what would I do? And this is what I came up with. And I feel like, I don't know, I like it. And I put it in my mouth as a test to see how it would fit, and I like that the tines are not outward. I saw some forks that had the tines coming out kind of like this, not spread wide, but like straight out. I don't know. I like how these don't seem like they're going to poke the inside of your mouth or the sides of your mouth. Not that it has to be like a safety thing, but anyway. Wendy says, maybe keeping the details only in the back. Yeah. Diane says, could you add a hanging feature so it can double as a pendant? I thought about that. I thought about how could I do that looked like it would fit. But I don't know. I kind of like it the way it is. So anyway. But I do like the idea of having something that hooks it to something else. I could do a hole, maybe at the bottom of this, but then I don't know. You don't want a thing here because that's where it just seems like it's hard to design things when it has a function, and the utility is the most important part. And it's less about the look of the thing. Although I like the look, and I want it to have the utility. So at some point, there's different sacrifices in design. So anyway, we got no further with this. I'm not 100%. And it was funny because I wanted to have this before Tucson. That doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I could probably have this to debut. Greg he'll work on things while we are in Tucson. So while we're talking about it, I want to mention, while we're gone, we will not be next to our products, meaning the stuff that we ship or the pewter is here in Asheville. We're not going to be bringing it with us. And what that means is that we're going to be gone for a week. And when we get home, we're going to ship, just like we did last year. So don't be concerned if you're like, hey, that didn't ship. Usually we don't ship in like under, depending. If you have other things and you're not ordering pewter pieces that we're not having to make, it'll ship faster. But if you have pewter, then we have to make it. That's the only thing. So just remember, like a lot of it is made to order. And somebody sent me a message. They're like, well, how come Lima Beads has it and they can ship in 2 days or whatever it is that they can ship? And I'm like, well, for one, get it from Lima Beads, because if they can ship it in 2 days, they did all the waiting for you. See, that's the thing. When you buy wholesale from someone, they're a wholesaler of ours. And they do the waiting. So they don't get their stuff in a week. They have to wait like a month or 2 months sometimes, especially if they order my coins, because it takes me forever to make large quantities of them. Not forever, but it is a time-consuming process. So if you need something right away, don't be afraid to get it from one of our wholesalers, because they do all the waiting, especially if you need it right away. And sometimes they'll have a coupon, like Jen from Cherry Tree, she will put a coupon, and I'm pretty sure it could go for whatever's in the shop. So just a reminder about that. Anyway, we're going to try and make tonight. I want to have Azalea, if she is willing, to make a listing for the Tucson boxes. And we'll start it. We'll do multi-level. And last time we made just like, I want to say we did 20. And we did different price points. So how it works is we will see how many Tucson boxes we've sold when we get there. And depending how many, we'll buy from a bunch of different places so that you get the same feeling as if you're getting a care package of strands and things. If you've ever done this with a friend that's going and you're like, okay, get me, a little of whatever you're getting. And I used to send boxes to my friends. Like a friend of mine named Diane, we would split, like she'd go to different shows and I'd give her some of what I got and she'd give me some of what she got, and it all worked out because we would split some of the strands. And then our friend Jess wanted to get a box. She's like, okay, so I want in on that strand. Because sometimes you don't need, especially if it's like great big crystals or something that is a pendant type thing, you don't need a full strand, and you might not only ever use 3 or 4. And so instead of spending, it's like your buying power kind of reaches a little farther. So that's what the idea is, that you can get a lot and you don't have to get, because if you get full strands of, say, rubies, you're only going to have like, unless you have a really big budget, you're not going to get that many. You're going to get a few things only. So that's the mentality, is that you're getting a good variety of new cuts or unusual type of beads. It's pretty fun. I've been making those for my friends and myself for many years. It's only been within the last like 2 years that we've kind of opened it up to making them for like 20 people. It's pretty fun. Yeah, Wendy says, I'm just nervous to get a bunch of stuff I'm not going to use. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what is I'm reading too many comments at once. And then Wendy says, I'm so darn excited to see what you get there that I could care less if you ship for me. Oh, well, you guys have fun watching all the different things. It is a lot of fun to see all the variety. But yeah, what we'll do is some folks had the same idea. They didn't want to get it till after the fact. And then we had so many emails because we started at like 12. And once people saw what was going in, then we had a flood of messages being like, I want it. I want some of that. So it's kind of hard to know. And that's part of the most difficult part, is to figure out what to buy, because you don't know what people are going to want. That's the risk. It's like, what if you pick out a bunch of stuff that nobody likes? Then you're kind of stuck with it. So that's why we'll buy in smaller quantities until, you can kind of gauge the reaction. This is the cat button. It's looking pretty good. So this is just the basic shape of it. And then Wendy says, that's why I love the post-Tucson shows. Yeah, we're going to try and get a bunch of extra. Hopefully we can get that kind of buying power. That will be part of it. What we'll do is maybe what we can say, we'll shop around the show on Wednesday when we get there. We're coming in early and we'll look around and see what's available. Because a lot of times, we can sit here and talk all day long about our wish list and things that we would love to find. But the truth of the matter is you're not going to know what's going to be out there until you get out there. Because it could be all just kind of same old on the first day. Because a lot of stuff, some people, they will restock and get the same thing for years and never really change it up. And they'll just reorder, like they'll say, okay, I want garnets in a faceted 4mm round. And that's great. But the problem with that is I'm not interested in that because it's kind of common. I don't want to pick out stuff that is readily available everywhere, because then, why not just get it from the most inexpensive place then? That doesn't really make sense for me as a business. So What I'm looking for is the unusual, the hard to find, the sparkly and beautiful, and like a kind of an unusual cut. I mean, basically what I'm hunting for myself, because again, if I'm making jewelry, I don't want to, have the same stones that everybody else is using, partly because you want to stand out and you want to have things that are not like the same thing that's super easy to find, because then unfortunately you get people copying you directly, and it's kind of a yuck feeling to see. And a lot of times, you might not mind. I don't necessarily mind now. I've shared many of my techniques, and now I don't mind it, especially if they're going to use some of the stuff that I've picked out. That's kind of a different story. But anyway, we will be debuting, and by debuting, probably listing some of the kits if you're interested in getting one. The thing is with that is that you can wait till they show, but I might not have a ton of deep stock. So if I sell out, that might be all I get. And some things there won't be a lot of, like people are retiring. Every year there's less and less of my favorite vendors. So that's a thing. June says, will you be listing the Tucson boxes on your website? Yeah, I think we will. Do you think that's the truth, Azalea? I think we will.
Setting them up on the website?
Yeah, we did them last time. We did it last time. I think we'll do the same.
I could just, activate the old listings and then
we could,
revamp the quantities and just leave the price and value and the options.
Yeah, we could do that.
Make a new listing.
It's yeah, we could do that. So you would have to get it soon. You would have to just trust and say, do I like what? If you've seen things before and you liked what I picked out, then it's a good value, because I try to make it where if you pick this out and you went to a bead store, or you went to a show and you saw it and you looked at it and you're like, oh, I totally want that. I want to make it a good value, because I make jewelry. I'm not going to do where I want to make it so that I buy it. I'm my customer, right? Because I'm going to buy jewelry. I'm going to buy stuff for my jewelry. So essentially, if you like what I make, you're going to like what I pick out. It's not going to be stuff.
You before.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick out things that I'm not going to use in my own jewelry. So that is the guiding principle there. So if, and that's kind of like if you're going to buy those boxes, if you like the person's jewelry, then I'd say get it. I like Jill Wiseman's jewelry. Or, I like Jill McKay's jewelry. I don't know why I said Jill Wiseman. I was just looking, it was funny. I was just looking at her bracelet kit. I got one of her bracelet kits from years ago, and I just saw it, and I was like, I need to do this. So her name was stuck in my head. But, and I don't really do them much with crystals anymore. But the other day I was like, hey, this looks like a fun project. So anyway, we will put those up later this evening. What is it? Oh, I've been going for over an hour. Nobody said anything.
You were having fun.
Sorry, y'all. Didn't mean to go on for your whole life. All right. Let's see. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Sorry I went on for so long and talked my head off. Oh, I see some good comments. Yeah, it's like an eye test, because it's like 3 feet away, and I'm trying not to strain to read it, but I'm like, that's perfect, because you know what? I don't want to be dependent on my glasses or my optivisors. It's like a stretching it out, stretching my eye muscles. Carolyn says, I like the selection and the different cut of stones and colors. It's one of my favorite parts of being there, and I think that's the part y'all like too, is getting your eyes filled up with all of that color. And I feel like it's healing. I come back rejuvenated. Wouldn't you say, Azalea? We come back and we're almost like a plant that has grown another foot. When you see those plants and you're like, you just shot up overnight. That's like us when we get back from Tucson. It's like our spirits shoot up out of the top of our head. It's so full of happiness and joy. probably being surrounded with all those crystals. It's something magical about it. I'm bringing tools for the lives. I plan on doing tutorials because that's part of the fun, That's the fun part. You'll have the beads in front of you, and then you can I'm going to bring cord, I'm going to bring soft flex and crimps, and then, not too much. I don't want to load my bag down because I got to fill it up with beads. I don't have time to be loading myself up with just, this and that. Yes, the healing power of gemstones. I am into it, as y'all probably have figured. I'm very much into it. I'm hoping to have a new clasp to put in with the boxes. It's probably not going to be this one. I have a few sitting on my desk. Maybe something along the lines of this. I'm into waxwork lately. I'm either painting or carving wax. So we'll see what I get up to. And I'm going to do a post very soon on the gang. So if you're not part of our GreenGirlStudios gang, I encourage you to sign to join. It's free, of course. It's a public group. I believe is still public. Kate did all the settings. And then made it so that it was we didn't have any kind of weird spamming. Oh, Wendy says she's going to go to Tucson. Yeah, you should. Next year, we'll all go. Wouldn't that be fun if we could somehow all go together? How would we do that? I don't know how we do it, but I sometimes think about that. How could I get, like when we're in Tucson and we go to that what's that place that we go to, that boxcar place? It's not boxcars.
The one that's like shipping containers.
They're shipping containers. We'll have a dinner there with the TGBE people. And it is so fun to be, it's like there's nothing like, virtual is great, but man, live action is the best. It is the best. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make a post. And then folks can say, I'm really into, what'd you say?
I'm going over an hour.
She's like, over an hour. All right, I'm wrapping it up. Carolyn says we would need rent a bus and pick up the beaters along the way. That's cute. That's a cute idea. And I know who'd be driving the bus. I'm always the bus driver. Ask this one over here. Whenever I drove for schoolyard, the field trips, I'm always the driver when we're driving for our adventures. It's good. I just need to get that long mirror for the head for the mirror. Kalita says, I'll meet you on the way if you're traveling I-10. Could you imagine if we did that? We'll descend a 50-car line of cars down the interstate. It'd be fun, actually, wouldn't it? Be our own, traveling. We'd be like what people,
circus.
Back in the early 2000s when we did traveling bead shows, when Sheila and I would be on the road for weeks at a time. People thought that we were like a traveling circus and that we all traveled together to one show after another because they'd see a lot of the same people. It was so funny. We're like, what if we did and we were like a circus and we had tents? It would be crazy. It would be probably fun too. All right, my friends, we've been going on for almost an hour and 20. Oh, sorry about that. It's
time to clock out.
It's always time to wrap it up. We have work to do. All right, my friends, thank you for joining us this evening. We had a great time. We hope that you did too. And we will see you on Wednesday. We will be streaming live from Tucson, Arizona. We'll post the kind of tepid, what's the best word for that? Azalea's giving me the look. All right, my friends, we're wrapping it up. Good night.